So the universe is finite. We know that with respect to the small scale and with respect to the large scale and with respect to time. It's finite in all of those dimensions. Um, if you want to study quantum mechanics, what you'll find is that there's a certain smallness of particle beyond which experimental data confirms that it doesn't have a meaningful value if you're discussing numbers and sizes in those ranges. And no one contests that. Scientists would agree with you. They may want to try to build more powerful laboratories to consume more quantities of energy in studying that issue, and that's what the current pursuit is. So, but for the time being, no one would argue with you that on the small scale the universe is finite. With respect to the large scale, you can go a certain distance in the universe, and beyond that distance, you have no communication of information between those long distances and the Earth because of the velocity that light travels. So we have a ultimate extent of the universe, and if someone tries to convince you that the universe is infinite, then what you have to explain, what you have to understand is that if you go in any direction from this location and you continue to travel in an infinite universe, then you ultimately will come to a universe identically like this one. And not only will you come to one, but you will have to come to an infinite number of such universes. So you have to wrap your mind around that, and you have to come to grips with that. If the universe is infinite, there's no way that it can be proved to be infinite. It's impossible to prove that. So, with respect to time, there are several theories of the beginning point of time. The scientific community uses 14.7 billion years, and they say that that's when time started, and before that, there is no explanation. Those of us who are believing in the Bible, then we have a time frame of 6,000 to 10,000 years for the beginning of the Earth, and that's the other leading theory. You have two large theories to choose from, and then you can also consider there's a steady state theory in a cyclical universe, and those theories can never ever be proven. There's no way of data. So you're on the cusp of a very large rabbit hole, and there's a way that you need to approach if you want to study these kinds of issues. You need to know what scientists think, how their thinking is about the universe, and you need to know how they came up with particle masses and the history of their experimentation. So I'm going to point you to the crash course on that. Will be, you will spend 4 months and you'll read 4 books. The first is Brian Greene's The Elegant Universe. The second would be Stephen Hawking's The Grand Design. The third would be Brian Greene's The Fabric of the Cosmos. And the last one will be his book, The Hidden Reality. Definitely you want to get a good understanding. You want to read those books in that order, and so that you can get the history and the background and the quantum physics before you go on to discussing multiple universes and infinite universes. So for those of you who want to do the homework and pursue it to the end, there's a reward for you in your terms of understanding the universe that you live in. So scientists meet in dark laboratories. They come up with theories to prove that there is no human worth. They want you to believe the universe is infinite and that we're not even relegated to a tiny speck in the universe. That's what it is. But you have worth, you have value. There is human value. Any scientist who comes up with a theory that says something to that effect, why that theory has to be discarded and trashed and put down. So scientist comes forward with such a theory, then they get to lose their job, they get to not have stuff published, and they get to be ostracized by their peers and downtrodden and all that kind of good stuff. So we all know that's going on. There's no even denying it from the other side. So if you're worried about CERN, as some of you are, don't worry about CERN. There's nothing that anybody can do at CERN that's going to affect anything going on in human history one way or the other. The release of the Higgs boson information, if you boil it right down to it, if you look at what they disclosed, when they disclosed it, it's a histogram of photons, which is light. It's not Higgs boson. It's light particles, photons that have a histogram with a certain value at the mean, and then they tell you that they confirm their theories that way. So it's their business. If they want to expend all those quantities of energy in doing that, in conducting the research, don't worry that they do that. If they want to dance satanic dances, then don't worry about that. If they want to, when they open their large tunnels, spend $80 million on satanic dances, that's the Europeans' business. There's nothing that anyone at CERN is going to do to open the gate. And the reason I say that is because that gate will be opened at the appointed time. It's been prophesized, it's well known. And in all of their efforts, they won't accelerate it by 1 minute or delay it by 1 minute. And you don't have to worry about that either, unless you assume the mark of the one world order. You don't have to worry about it. So, if you're willing to do the work, I've laid it out in the simplest way to jump into it, and I hope that this video will benefit 4 or 5 people who will do the exploration and come to some conclusions. Thank you for watching this video.
serio?
No.
Woman is standing. If you go that way, there's a bunch of more. Yeah. One of them showed up and